We're back, everyone. Welcome to the NobCast, your favourite football podcast. With you is me, Nobbins, Manchester City fan, and Gaskey, who is a Manchester United fan. It's been a while, Gaskey, hasn't it?
It has. It's been, what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe? It's been a long time.
It's been a hot minute, and it's been Christmas and New Year's, Gaskey. How was your festive season?
I enjoyed it very well. I ate a lot, drank a lot, and no regretful decisions this time. Sorry, there's no stories this time for old drunk Gaskey. So, yeah, no stories, but it was great. Spend time with the family, watch a lot of football.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was really good. How was yours?
Yeah, it was lovely, thank you. I was just about to ask you, what were some of the highlights of your Christmas presents? For example, I'm wearing one of mine, a lovely England shirt.
I'm wearing one of mine too.
There you go. If you had to give me sort of a highlight of your favourite prezzies this year.
Ooh.
Just a cheeky one or two.
I got a lot of different things. I got some hotel chocolate cream vodka. That was quite surprising. And it's very nice.
Excellent.
So, that was a very nice gift.
Very good work. Wonderful stuff. And I hope you guys all had a lovely Christmas and New Year as well. But it has been a while. Gaskey said it. There's been a lot of football. It's obviously been catching up after the World Cup. So we're not going to do what we normally do, which is what we normally do is we look at like the week's matches and analyze the matches themselves. We're just going to do a quick overview of the Premier League teams, touching on their games, but mostly talking about their positions in the table and how they have been performing post World Cup. We are going to guess the footballer in 60 seconds. We're bringing back BallBusters. It was on pause during the World Cup. It's back now. We've got our questions from our lovely Noblets from the Patreon. And we'll also be previewing a couple of derby games coming up next week. One of which Gaskey will be joining me for on stream.
Sadly.
Well, you say that, but
it's a risky game.
Yeah, we'll preview that when we preview. Oh, and how could I forget? It's what's ground Gaskey's gears. That's making a return as well.
It's back with a bang.
Back with a vengeance. Someone or something has upset him, so we'll be hearing about his issues later on. But for now, Gaskey, let's begin and talk about the football that's been happening, and we'll touch on the teams in sort of relative up to down order, but we'll be grouping a couple of teams together. We're going to start with the current leaders of the Premier League, the Arsenal. We're 17 games in now, 5 points at the top of the table, and to be honest, they keep proving me wrong because I said at the start, blah, 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 they're not really going to be in a title race. When they get like an injury, they're going to struggle. They haven't played anyone yet. They're, when they play against the likes of Spurs, etc., they will lose. None of that happened. Jesus is out and Ketty is fine, so they're making me look like a right mug, Gaskey. What are your thoughts on Arsenal? How impressed have you been with them this season?
Not just you, they made look a mug. They made me look a mug as well. I'm waiting for them to crumble. Everyone just expecting the inevitable, but it's not coming. It's not happening. Maybe that elephant up that tree is a concrete tree. Why are they not falling? Obviously, they've got between the top three, or top four, they're all playing each other in the next couple of weeks. So that is where it could, times could change potentially. Arsenal have got the North London derby, then United. So
and then City a couple of weeks after, I think.
Yeah. So that could be okay. In the next 3 weeks, it could be a 9-point swing potentially. Mm-hmm. Doubt it, but potentially, there could be 9 points up for grabs there, and they could end up third. You never know. So yeah, I mean, at what point do we say they're the favourites?
Indeed, it's a question that's got to be asked now. I think at the start of the season we were saying, look, if you're an Arsenal fan, just enjoy the ride. But if you're an Arsenal fan now, you've got to think, no, we are 100% in a title race. Like halfway through the season, we're 5 points ahead of City. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think if they get 9 points from these, so if it's City, Tottenham, and United, if they get 9 points from that, they are the favourites.
Yeah,
they're definitely the team. It's their job to ball it, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if they beat City, certainly that's a classic 6-pointer. That's going to be huge. That is for sure. But as I say, it's a crunch week coming up for the Arsenal.
It is, and let's not forget they haven't played City yet once. So
no.
That's where it's, again, a 12-point swing, theoretically, if they play them twice.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely. And I think it's also worth noting that this isn't a case of City being poor this season and Arsenal capitalising on that. City are only 2 points worse off compared to this time last season, and Arsenal are like I think 5 points better off than, or however many points better off compared to City last season. So this is a case of Arsenal just overperforming and doing really well. So I guess the only question mark, and we're going to get onto Man City right now. I think we saw it against Newcastle, a rare game where Arsenal didn't win. But the substitutions in that game, Jesus was injured. I think that White came off, Tomiyasu came on. That's the sort of substitution they can make, that Arteta can make. Whereas you look at City against Chelsea, and you look at the bench in the Premier League game, Pep changed his system about 2 or 3 times because he could do that. So will the squad depth be the issue for Arsenal in the long run, I guess is the question. And with that in mind, City are the official favourites, like, the bookies, etc. Lots of people still saying they are going to win. But they've been a bit weird this season, Gaskey, because they have had some very good performances at the start of it. Then they had a really weird middle run where they struggled against Fulham at home, struggled against Brentford and lost, struggled against Everton and weren't able to beat them. I know they beat Chelsea in the league, but again, they struggled in that game as well. But then the game after, they pumped them. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's as if they can't. Well, obviously, with Haaland coming in, as good as he is, I guess you lose one player as part of that, collective of the way that they pass the team to death. That's how they play. And moving Haaland from that, because Haaland doesn't play that game, he doesn't get involved and pass and move. You've got to learn that as well and change that system. So I guess that also has an effect on it, as good as he is. But like you said, the depth, I think, is what will take them over the line if they are going to win it, win the league. Because if Arsenal are going to they're going to go on a Europa League run, potentially an FA Cup run if they beat City, then that depth's going to come in and it's going to get to key games. It's going to be 3 games a week, and they're going to have to rotate players. And if a player doesn't perform or they struggle, then they could crumble.
Yeah, it all depends, I guess, on what, because I'm wondering whether there might be a post-World Cup crash for City, because I think apart from Bayern, City had more players at the World Cup than anyone. Pep commented that the players who came back from the World Cup have actually been fitter and better than the ones who didn't, which makes sense. But in the long run, I'm wondering whether that might be an issue for, when we get to like April, May time, will that be a big issue for City? Whereas I don't know exactly how many Arsenal players went to the World Cup. Don't think it was that many. In comparison, it may have been like less than half. And with Arsenal already out the League Cup, might be out the FA Cup if City knock them out. And will they really care about the Europa League that much? The late game could be crucial, and that might be where Arsenal just focus all their efforts on the Premier League and basically sacking off, like the Europa League. Not sacking off, but you know what I mean, prioritising. But we'll have to see whether City squad is deep enough to deal with that World Cup crash. What do you think is going to happen there, Gaskey? Just very, very quickly. And I'm pushing for another prediction, but City or Arsenal?
I still think City. I just think that this busy period coming up for all the teams in the top 4. I just feel like they've got to. It sounds weird, but they've got to drop off some point. When was the last time a team at the full season comfortably? Like City inevitably go on their 15-game unbeaten run. That seems to always be a thing in the second half of the season. But because usually, they'll lose a couple at the start of the season, or they'll drop points, and then it's a bit odd, like they've done this season. They're doing the same thing they do every year, which is what makes them difficult to beat. Arsenal have got to have a drop in form at some point. It's just, unless they're going to win it by a mile.
Yeah,
potentially.
It's one or the other, isn't it? Because as it stands, Pep said this: if Arsenal win their next 2 games and they replicate their first season form, they will get 100 points, which is obviously only happened once before. Exactly,
yeah, and I just can't see them doing it because let's be fair, with much respect as possible, it's not really a world-class squad they've got. It's a good squad, a good team. They work well together, but it's not like these world-class players that City have got.
Yeah.
So, is it going to get to a point when they're going to start believing we could win the league here, and it's going to pressure? But you never know. You never know. I mean, if they win the league, hats off to them. They've been the best team, simply. But I just can't see it.
Yeah. and that Arsenal City game will be crucial. That's for sure. Not just for points, but also mentality. Like if Arsenal win that, I think that gives a big mental boost to the players as well. So that is huge. Speaking of huge and the rise of Newcastle, who are currently third, they have the best defensive record. Gaskey, are they finishing in the top 4?
If you look at everyone else, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? But we've seen from Leicester and we've seen from Tottenham in past years that they could crumble.
They could.
So it's hard to call, but I think they deserve it, to be honest. Up to now, but we're just under halfway, well, about halfway through the season. I think they deserve it.
Yeah, and I just think that what's so impressive about it is that they've had a lot of players, like their main signing is called Alexander Isak. He's been injured, it seems, for most of his time at Newcastle. He's now coming back into it, and they've been able to achieve this with largely the same group of players that was battling relegation last season.
Yeah, but let's be fair as well. Since they've been bought, people are obviously they've gone, oh yeah, because you've got money. Have they spent more than the size of their club, if that makes sense?
Definitely not.
They have.
Yeah.
I think they signed Botman for 35 million and Guimaraes for 40 and Isak for 60, was it?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money, but for the size of Newcastle, that's money that I think they're allowed to spend.
Yeah.
100%. And their best signings been, and Joe Linton and Almiron have been their best players, and they've been signed ages ago. Mm-hmm. So somehow they've had this, rejuvenated careers, and that's what's helped them. And then even simple sign like Dan Burn, it's amazing. Like, people obviously will always comment and go, they spent loads. But for the size of the club, it's not like they've been bought and then just throwing money at it. Like, but look at Chelsea. They spent 300 million in the last year with the new owners, which is mental. Whereas they're spending, I'd say, a fair amount with new owners plus the size of the club. So
yeah, and it's not even like it's a total overhaul. Like, if, for example, in their brilliant draw against Arsenal, I think 8 of those players that started the game were at the club before the takeover. So it's basically the same team. It just goes to show that, like Almiron, for example, he was regarded as terrible, and now he's doing absolute bits. Almost if like you give someone a good manager and a good coach, they'll get the best out of you.
So all it takes.
Eddie Howe is all it takes. There we go. That's what Gaskey was getting at there. But yes, best defensive record. Only one league loss as well. Only Arsenal can boast.
Liverpool last minute.
Yes.
Wasn't
indeed.
it? Yeah, the loss as well. So they only lost because of a last minute goal.
Exactly. And this is sort of a question that one of my Noblets asked as well. I said we're doing NobCast, might as well do it now whilst we're talking about Newcastle and Arsenal. Gaskey, who's been more impressive so far this season, Eddie Howe or Mikel Arteta?
Ooh, I'd have to say Eddie Howe, because if we're basing off last season, Arsenal, okay, they're a bit mixed, mixed bag, but Newcastle were terrible. People will say Arsenal based on the fact that Newcastle got bought and they've bought players, but Arsenal, they're both the shock of the season. Like, no one expected Arsenal to be 5 points clear and Newcastle to be in the Champions League spots. But for Newcastle to be where they are is just a shock. Like, they shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think you might be right.
Newcastle.
And again, it's the point we've just touched on, that it's largely the same group of players. To be honest, so just yes, absolutely right. But both very impressive, obviously. Speaking of impressive, Manchester United have been recently. They've been on a very good run. Now, you'll correct me if I'm wrong here, Gaskey, but I believe that when Ten Hag started his Manchester United career and lost his opening 2 games, that was the worst start of any Manchester United manager in history. But now...
two losses and the goal difference, yeah.
Yes. But now, after 20 games, he's got the best record of any United manager.
And up to now, they've got the same amount of wins as they got the whole last season.
Really?
So, yeah. Apparently so. They got 20 wins last season, and total, and then 20 wins now. So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you can do when you let the manager manage the team.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. The whole Ronaldo situation's gone. It's been dealt with. They've dealt with the media. They've dealt with all the questions. It's been and gone. The players, clearly, it hasn't affected them. They've come out arguably better. I think they've won every single game They're scoring 3 goals a game at home in the last 4. You know, it shows what you can do when you've got a world-class midfielder in there in Casemiro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rashford slept in and he got dropped. You know, it's giving all the players the same treatment, no matter how good you are. You have to behave, basically.
Yeah.
And, you know, people, you know, if they lost the game, you'd get criticised for dropping him, right? And you know, fair enough. But also, why should you get away with that?
And
look at Rashford now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Definitely. And I think you mentioned to me the other day something like United having like a salary cap or something that Ten Hag's introduced.
Yeah. So apparently it is 200k a week will be the maximum, and De Gea's going to sign a new contract for 200k a week. So they're getting 150k a week back from him because he obviously wants to stay. Because if he's going to go anywhere, he's going to have to take a pay cut anyway. So he might as well stay if that's the offer. And so they won't have any of this, you know, ridiculous egos. Obviously, I think these players that are on more than that now. So, but you know, there's going to be no one on more than that, and the players will know that, and players who are joining will know that. So there'll be none of this joining for the money anymore.
No mercenaries.
Which is a start. And they're playing as a team. These players there that no one rated, and they're playing brilliantly. Delow's been unwritten hero. He's been fantastic. You know, you give Luke Shaw competition at left back, he becomes one of the best left backs in the league.
Yeah, and you actually give them a proper defensive midfielder. Exactly,
and it shows that if you put a proper defensive midfielder in there, you fix the defense pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
are they title contenders, Gaskey? That's the question.
Because this is what I said to you as well. So United have Arsenal and City. Arsenal have Tottenham and United.
Yes.
And then that City Arsenal after that. It could all change in the matter of weeks. In the matter of 2 or 3 weeks, it could be a 2-point gap between the 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not thinking that there's a title race for United. But if United are 1 point behind Arsenal in a month's time, who's to rule them out?
Yeah, not wrong. Yeah, I think for me, I think that they're currently sort of in a title race in name only. I think they have got some very good results put together. I just don't know whether they'll be there by the end of the season.
No.
I think a domestic cup is possible, though.
Yeah, no, neither do I. I mean, they're in the FA Cup still, and the FA Cup's going the same way as the Carabao Cup, where United are just going about their own business and everyone else is playing each other in the big teams. Potentially, obviously, need to get past Barcelona first, but potential Europa League run as well. It's a lot of matches. It's the whole Liverpool situation last season again, where they're in every tournament and they're going all the way in all of them. But I just they haven't got the squad. They played Charlton yesterday and they had to bring Casemiro to steady the ship. Mm-hmm. That's evidence that they've got no squad. These players that are not good enough. And that's also what they have to fix. But again, it's not something overnight. And also these comments about, you know, not signing anyone in January. But at the end of the day, if the Glazers are apparently selling, if you owned a business and you were planning on selling that business, you're not going to go and spend money, are you, on the business? So I guess people have just got to be patient. This is the squad for the season. They might get Weghorst up front as an option. That's it. It's all you're going to get till the end of the season. Hopefully new owners come in and, you know, just butt out, basically. Yeah. And let Ten Hag do his job. That's what I'm hoping for. A top four finish domestic cup and that by the summer, and I'm happy.
Yeah, and if you said that before the start of the season, I think you would have bitten someone's hand off, wouldn't you? At that?
If you told me when Ten Hag took over, they finished top 4 a trophy and the Glazers would leave, I'd bitten your hand off easily.
100%. We're going to talk about these 3 clubs sort of as a collective now: Spurs, Liverpool, and Chelsea, because they're all having a very odd, weird, terrible season relative to how you would expect them to be performing. Liverpool, we've talked about their issues many a time. They are still having issues. Who is it they lost to against most recently? I can't even remember. It was someone they shouldn't have lost to.
Who did they lose?
Who was it? Was it Brentford? Yeah, the most shambolic, like 5 or so minutes where one of their players got like 2 disallowed goals in like the space of 5 minutes, and then still scored. What's that? Sorry.
Yeah. And he still scored.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's still a bit of a shambles at Liverpool. I think Van Dijk's now out with a big injury. Speaking of injury, Chelsea, that you can make an injured 11 there, in addition to all the other issues. And Spurs, even though they're currently doing all right in the table, I think they're only a couple points behind United. The performances are worrying, and they are poor. And you don't feel like there's like anything actually there. And I think it'll be all of those sides can count themselves lucky if they got into the top four. To be honest, just touching on them individually, you mentioned signings at United. A signing that was supposed to go to United allegedly has ended up going to Liverpool. Gakpo. Yeah. We haven't spoken to you, Gaskey, about that signing. What are your sort of thoughts on that?
It's very surprising because obviously as a fan, all you could go off is media, and it was surprising that apparently it looked like it was going to be United, and then Liverpool out of nowhere signed him. And it's one of those where you think about it. The only reason I could imagine United signing him is because Ten Hag can see him as a number 9, because that's the only position they need. And which is fair enough, but again, he doesn't really play number 9. He plays more on the left. So, I mean, as much as I'm happy to see him at United based on talent, going to Liverpool is a bit odd, because they need a midfielder more than anything, and it's as if they've just signed him for, I don't know, shirt sales? I don't know, because you've got Diaz who plays left wing, you've just bought Nunez, and Salah's your aging one, so yeah, I don't know, like is he going to play right wing? Oh, I just don't know. It's very, very odd.
It is odd. He's a very fluid player, so I guess it's good to have that versatility. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. Everyone knows the issues with Liverpool's team and depth, and it is the midfield. So they go out and spend not a small amount of money on a player who will not help that problem. Very weird. It might go on to be a great player, but I didn't really think it was the player Liverpool needed.
Yeah. Did Diaz sign last January?
Yes.
So in 12 months, they've signed 2 left wingers and a striker when they need a midfielder.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? That's very weird. Yeah.
And Kate has done nothing for 50 million. He's out of contract. You've got an aging Henderson.
You've got an always injured Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah.
You've got Fabinho, who looks about 97 years old under Klopp.
Thiago is aging, but also needs that assistance in midfield.
And he's always injured.
They're missing the legs. That's what the problem is. It's like when I see United play and Bruno doesn't start, as much you give a criticism all you want, but he's the legs. He does the running. And since Wijnaldum's gone, really, they've had no legs in midfield. Who does that grafting job?
I guess that's why they're so desperate to get Bellingham. If that does happen, then that's a different story. But if they don't get top 4, if they don't get Champions League, there's no guarantees that he will want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll have to see. Speaking of other signings and the bizarreness of them, the João Felix one. We've got to touch on this João Felix signing. I think... what do I think? I think that João Felix to Chelsea might be the most brain-dead transfer in the history of humanity, based on the structure of the deal.
It makes zero sense. If you look at Chelsea as a collective, right, they're clearly rebuilding. If you look at the players they're signing young players who they're not going to get in the team. They're going to play barely any minutes in the next potentially 2 years. So in the future, though, they could have a really, really good team in 3 years' time. What you're lacking is goals. As a team, they're lacking scoring. They could play a midfield 11 and keep the ball, but no one's going to score because no one can score. Aubameyang's shite. Anyone who's number 9 can't play it, so they need a striker.
Yeah.
So what do? We'll sign another Havertz to go and stand next to him. So they've got 2 people who could play centre forward who are not going to score.
Yeah.
Theoretically, could matter words here, but then not just that. You've signed a player who has just signed a new contract as part of this deal to stay till 2027 at Atletico Madrid for €8 million, I think it was. Plus, you're paying all his wages, so you're looking at a deal of about, in total, 15 million to have him for 5 months.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. If he was the perfect... Well, it wouldn't work, but if he was like at least the perfect mold of player they needed, I could half understand it because maybe like we needed a good push into the top 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
But you said it yourself. He's not what they need. They need an out-and-out traditional number 9. They don't need another Kai Havertz or someone or like a second striker or attacking midfielder type player. So it doesn't work from that point of view. And it also,
but it's like, look, even if he was a perfect number 9, Atletico Madrid are in a win-win situation. They get their striker gets to play games, and he comes back to the club. Perfect. If he's brilliant for Chelsea and he somehow gets to top 4 and he's amazing, Atletico Madrid go, he signed a new contract. You're paying 150 million for him now, yeah. So they win.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Chelsea just getting used, quite frankly, by by Atletico Madrid, because the reason Atletico Madrid want to do this is because they want to lessen their it's called amortization. Basically, it's to make their accounts look better for FFP purposes.
Get him off the wage 6 months while we
Exactly.
sort ourselves out, and then we can afford to bring him back on the wage still.
Yeah, so it's not. I could understand it if it was like if João Felix wanted out of Atletico Madrid like permanently, but as far as I understand it, it's this accounting issue, and it's also because Simeone is leaving at the end of this season, and João Felix and Simeone don't like each other, or Felix doesn't like Simeone anyway.
Yeah, apparently, from what I've read, he's not exactly a nice. Oh, he's good to have in the dressing room. Apparently, he's a bit iffy from that point of view.
Right.
So also that, but he's also talks about he's looking forward to the project. What project? You're there for 5 months. The project's a years long.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it. I really don't understand.
Yeah. It's lose-lose. It's brilliant for Atletico Madrid, and it's brilliant for João Felix because he gets a holiday in London whilst Simeone, so we can get away from him. So João Felix wins.
Potentially make himself look good.
Yeah, exactly. João Felix wins. Atletico Madrid win, but Chelsea lose no matter what happens. You said it yourself. If he's a poor signing, then they've wasted like 10 million quid or however much it was, and all the salary as well. If he's brilliant and scores some loads of goals and he's like the missing link, you're not going to get him anyway because he's just signed an extension.
Or you're overpaying.
Yeah. So it's lose-lose. I can't comprehend it at all. And I think you said this when we were having a chat. They're bringing in Nkunku in the summer, who is also like a sort of second striker type player.
He plays the same role as him and Havertz. So it's as if like, my plan is to play Nkunku in the summer here. Let's bring in João Felix just so I can practice with my new formation for 5 months. I just don't get it.
It's
really
so bizarre. I've tried to wrap my head around why Chelsea would want him, and I can't arrive at a conclusion. I just don't really get it. I'm excited to see him in the Premier League, though. That'd be interesting.
Well, I'm excited to watch him, but I just think like,
it's so weird. It's not a Chelsea signing.
It could be one of these things, right? Because apparently Arsenal wanted him and United wanted him. So it could be this thing where he's been offered. All three are interested, but Atletico Madrid have gone and he's gone. But I'm signing a new contract. And Arsenal and United have gone. No, not interested. Chelsea go, oh, perfect.
Yeah, and that was the weird thing online as well. You got some Chelsea fans saying, "Oh, look, we beat United and Arsenal." If I was a United or Arsenal fan, I'd be well happy.
I'm buzzing like this.
Dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
So really weird sign. So they've signed a player they don't need, who when they play back five won't work in the system at all that Chelsea play. And if he's good, irrelevant, he won't even be there for that long. So really terrible, just terrible. And speaking of terrible, Gaskey, another clump of teams I want to touch on: West Ham, Everton, and Wolves. It's manager sacking roulette, Gaskey. One of them's already gone. Who's going next? Frank Lampard or David Moyes, if you think one of them's going?
So out of these three, so West Ham, Everton, Wolves have acted. Wolves have done their job. They've got rid of the manager, brought a new manager in. He's been given money because I think they're signing a right back. I think. Maybe wrong. And he's going to play his part and give it a couple of weeks. They might be playing brilliantly. You never know. Everton, the way the club's run is a shambles. You've got offered 60 million for Anthony Gordon, who now from Chelsea, who now doesn't even start. So, and also you haven't replaced Richarlison. You got Dominic Calvert-Lewin in, and a close source to mine tells me that he has to do limited training for shooting just in case his leg goes again. That's a striker. So that he's not got a long career, and you haven't replaced your striker. And you're signing rejects from other Premier League clubs around you. Neil Maupay was your solution. He doesn't start for Brighton. Yeah,
very odd.
So that's a mess. So I think it's a bit unfair to sack Lampard because it's like, who do you want in? I heard, I was at the Everton game in the FA Cup, and I heard on someone on TalkSport came on, an Everton fan who said, Sam Allardyce is available. Sam Allardyce. So you're asking for a relegation battle. You're asking for a relegation battle. You should have your head higher up than that, being like, we need to get back to where we are, fighting potential top four in Europe. But then West Ham, I think David Moyes is going to go sacked because the amount of investment he's had, they've had a good Europa League run, or Conference League, whatever it was, and they're shambles now. They're not winning anything.
No, it's weird, isn't it?
They've got a massive squad. So I feel like you can get a manager that can get the best out of that squad, and it isn't David Moyes.
Yeah, I know it's only the Conference League, but they've won every single game in the Conference League this season, but they're a shambles in the Premier League. Yeah. As I say, I know it's less, you could say lesser opposition, but still, you know, it's just bizarre, the drop off. They were in the Europa League semi-final last season.
Yeah.
And now they're in a relegation fight.
Neither them or Everton have won a game since October in the league.
Yeah, exactly. Terrible.
Since October, they must have played someone beatable.
I think those wins were against Bournemouth. I'm pretty sure. So it's not even like it was an impressive win either.
Yeah.
So terrible. I know Everton got a point recently at City, but Everton were not good that day. That was because City was just incompetent offensively.
I think from what I've read, expected goals for Everton was 0.08.
Yeah,
so it was a beautiful goal by Demarai Gray. That's it.
Yeah, and that was their one proper. They had one shot on target, and that was it. And it was like a world class finish that goes in once every 100 shots. Yeah. So yeah, just bizarre situations at those clubs. I mean, Everton are Everton, and Frank Lampard. I don't rate Lampard as a manager, so I can sort of understand that. But there might be a wider issue with Everton because they're moving into their new stadium in a couple of years, aren't they?
Getting a new stadium, and they might be playing the Championship in it.
Yeah, and I don't know how the structure of that stadium's going to work, but often clubs will, borrow money, millions, billions of pounds.
Absolutely, when they built the Emirates, then they had seasons where there was no money for transfers and no money for the squad.
Yeah, and if you're not in the Premier League for that could have serious ramifications. So they cannot relegation cannot happen, especially for Everton. And Wolves. I suspect. I mean, they played well against Liverpool, for example. I suspect they will get better. And you mentioned it; they have already acted. Southampton acted as well. They sacked their manager. Currently bottom of the table, Southampton, and they're another team. They haven't won a Prem game since mid-October. Before the season started, I predicted them to go down. Got a lot of hate for that, but so far it looks like they are going to go down.
They sacked their manager and then hired Luton Town's manager. I know Luton are doing well in the Championship, but where's your head at?
Where's your head at?
A manager that's never managed at this top level, where the difference between Championship and Premier League is quite big. And you hire Luton Town's manager, come and save you. No.
I don't really get Southampton. They're weird. I think they're going to go down.
They've got a new director of football now as well, I think. So
right,
a bit late, but
And speaking of going down, the teams that came up: Fulham, Forest, Bournemouth. Contrasting. What's the word? Contrasting performances. Fulham are basically safe, thanks to Mitrovic. He's been very good.
Yeah.
But Forest and Bournemouth, do you think they might follow Southampton to the Championship?
I think at this moment in time, I'd say halfway through the season.
Yeah.
It's hard to call because
it's hard, Gaskey, but I'm asking you the hard questions.
Well, I can't answer these hard questions. I think Bournemouth will.
Yeah.
I don't. Forest is going to be a last game of the season deal.
With Everton, maybe? Forest versus Everton, maybe? Fighting for relegation?
Yeah, maybe, potentially, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you're probably right, because I think the other options there, again, I've grouped them all, your Villa, Palace, Leicester, Leeds. I think they'll probably have maybe just enough quality to survive.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Teams could get dragged into it, like if they go on a bad run. That's all it takes, but the quality might be there for them to keep them out of it.
Yeah, just sort of like mid-table, lower-table mediocrity, I think for those clubs. I think, again, I know West Ham aren't doing great, but they should have enough quality to come good. Everton, I do fear for. Wolves probably have enough quality, so it probably will be between those four, won't it? I'll tell you who it won't be, though. Brighton or Brentford. The overperformers. I mean, we talk about Newcastle and Arsenal overperforming, but these guys have also been overperforming to an outrageous degree.
Shout out to Brighton, though.
Shout out.
Having your manager ripped from you halfway through the season, for then a new manager to come in and still do what you do is very impressive.
It is. It's outrageous. Yeah, it's brilliant. They just obviously continue to play in the same way after Potter left.
Yeah.
And even Brentford, they're facing their own hardships with the Ivan Toney situation. But he didn't even start against Liverpool, did he?
He was injured for the Liverpool game.
Yeah. So clearly they're not just a one-man team.
TikTokers were very confident in that game because Toney was injured.
What's that, sorry?
Certain TikTokers were Very, 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 looking forward to that game against Brentford because Tony was injured and didn't end well.
Oh, are you specifically
referring
referring
to certain TikTokers, certain Irish Liverpool TikTokers.
Liverpool fan, I think you might be talking about. But there we go. That's a brief overview of the Premier League teams. And next podcast, we should be able to get back to the normal thing of looking back at the most interesting matches. Gaskey, is there anything else that you wanted to note about any of these sides that we've covered?
No, I think we covered it all. I mean, it's looking like quite an interesting season. Some teams are sneaking up on others. Some teams are going the wrong way down the table.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see come 38 match week how it looks. Yeah.
100%. And we're not even halfway. It's weird. We're not even halfway through the season because of the World Cup. So
some teams will be, but some teams have got game in hands.
Yeah.
So
100%. But yes, and that was the cheeky roundup.
It's all here and it's all football, all the time.
Guess the footballer in 60 seconds makes a return. I've got 2 footballers. Gaskey's got 2 footballers. Gaskey, who's going first, mate?
You can guess first.
Right, I'm going to guess first. Okay. Now, I've introduced a new sound. No idea if it's going to be too loud or not. You guys can give me feedback on that. I can always turn it down. Obviously, it's the countdown music. Why wouldn't it be? So, I'm going to do my timer for myself as well. This music's going to be so distracting, I can already tell. But that'll make it harder. Okay.
It's not hard enough as it is.
I know, right? Yeah, so I'm guessing yours first, yes?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Do it.
Okay. Guess the footballer. 60 seconds. Go. Are they still playing?
No.
Okay. Are they dead?
No.
Okay. Oh, gosh. Are they most known for a top 5 league?
Yes.
Most known for Premier League?
Yes.
Most known for a top 6 club?
Yes.
Most known for a Manchester club?
Yes.
United?
Yes.
Keeper?
Yes.
Oh, Schmeichel?
Yes!
Hey!
He's done it! He's done it. Look at him go.
There we go. A nice easy one just to get started.
Boy.
Yeah.
Spicy boy.
Excellent stuff. Right, there we go. That's so hard with the music. Oh, my God.
Here we go.
Okay, Gaskey.
Here we go.
Right, I've got a footballer for you, matey. Okay, Gaskey. Guess the footballer. 60 seconds. Go.
Are they still playing?
Yes.
Playing the top 5 league?
Yes.
They're playing the Premier League?
Yes. They play for a Premier League
play
team,
for a
yes.
top 6 team?
Yes.
Okay, they play for a Manchester team?
No.
Play for a London team?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Okay, are they a defender?
No.
Are they a keeper?
No.
A midfielder?
No.
Okay, are they a striker?
Sort of.
Okay, are they European?
Yes.
Okay, were they at the World Cup?
Yes.
Okay, Havertz?
No.
Are they like centre forward or centre attacking midfielder?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, what else can I ask? Are they British?
No.
Okay, are they Spanish?
No.
Are they Italian?
No. And that is time.
Right, Chelsea squad. Right, so there's not a midfielder, but they are a midfielder. Huh. That's such a weird position. Like, what else
I
could
know,
it be?
it's tricky, isn't it?
I'm a donkey.
Final guess.
Maybe you're trying to mug me off. I'm just saying, I think you're trying to mug. Are you trying to mug me off? Is it Jean Felix?
It is!
You tried to mug me off.
I'm not sure, but what do you mean mug you off?
You tried to catch me out, is what you did. You thought, I'll bring in a player that's only just signed.
Yeah, well, he's a Chelsea player. He's a Chelsea. You got it. Well done.
I thought, would he do that? Would he do
You're
that?
damn right
He
I
would.
Okay. Right. Your last one, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Guess the footballer, 60 seconds, go. Still playing?
No.
Dead.
No.
Are they most known for a top 5 league?
Yes.
Most known for Premier League?
No.
Most known for England?
No.
Most known for Italy?
No.
Most known for Spain?
Yes.
Okay, La Liga, Barcelona?
Yes.
Okay, keeper?
No.
Defender?
No.
Midfielder?
Yes.
Defensive midfielder?
No.
Attacking midfielder?
No.
Central midfielder.
Yes.
Are they Spanish?
Yes.
Did they win the Champions League?
Yes.
Is it Xavi?
Yes.
Yo! And it's
I thought you were
easy
going
as
to try and
that.
narrow it down as much as possible to what has he got brown hair?
I've got to ask I've got to get all the background information. Right, okay, Gaskey. I've got one last one for you. We're currently 3 for 3. Don't let me down, mate, yeah?
You don't put that pressure on me.
Guess the footballer. 60 seconds, go.
Are they still playing?
No.
Okay, are they dead?
Yes.
Okay, did they play in a top 5 league?
They did.
Are they best known for the Premier League?
No.
Are they best known for the Spanish league?
No.
Are they best known for the Italian league?
Yes.
Okay, are they best known for a Milan club?
No.
The best known for Juventus?
No.
The best known for Lazio?
No.
Okay, did they win a World Cup?
No.
Okay, did they play in the 80s?
They did.
Did they, okay. Did they manage a club?
Yes.
Okay, did they play defence?
No.
Did they play in midfield?
No.
Did they play in attack?
Yes.
Are they a striker?
Yes.
He's dead. Oh, did they win a Ballon d'Or?
No.
Did they play for a team currently in the Serie A?
Yes.
I don't know who's down.
Final guess. Final guess.
Rubbish with the Serie A. I didn't even get the country. What did they get? Whoa, I'm rubbish. I don't even know who's dead. Who's dead for them? Who's well known for... Oh, it's a striker.
Yes.
I can't even think of a guess. Top of my head. Can't even think of someone.
Shall I tell you?
Go on. I can't think of anyone.
It is the recently deceased Gianluca Vialli.
He managed Chelsea.
Yeah. You said, did he manage your team? I said yes.
Damn it.
And he managed...
I was thinking him as well.
And he
but then I
managed
thought in my
Watford.
head, is he best known for Chelsea? But he probably... in my head, I was thinking that, but he isn't.
Yeah, I think that you would know him best for Chelsea.
I threw myself off there. No, I knew he wasn't best known for Chelsea, but in my head, I was thinking he's Chelsea through and through. So,
what club was he most known for in Italy?
Not a clue.
Same as this man? I'm pointing to Mancini.
Oh, Sampdoria.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, he won the league with Sampdoria,
He did indeed. There we go. 3 for 4. It's not bad for a return to form with the terrifying music.
I need to back my Serie A knowledge up. That's what I need to do.
But I tell you what, guys, we're gonna, because I can tell that Gaskey's a bit disappointed there, so we're now going to allow Gaskey to have a vent.
Every football team will be playing football several times and in various combinations.
Because it's time to hear What's Ground Gaskey's Gears. What's Ground Gaskey's Gears. There we go, Gaskey. Tell me, I don't actually know this. Tell me, is it football related? Is it not football related? What are we discussing?
It's football related. It's football related.
Okay,
so
tell me more.
As you know, and some of the old Noblets know, because I put it in the chat, that I went to the United versus Everton game in the FA Cup.
You did?
And, I had a good time. I've been talking for a while,
Wonderful.
So we were sat in the second tier of the Stretford end. You stood up all game, you're chanting, you're loving the game. And something started to annoy me. There was 2 people sat behind. And the whole game, all they did was just slag off every single United player on that pitch. Whenever anything happened, they criticised every little thing that a player would do. And I just thought to myself, like, you pay 30 odd quid for membership. You're paying, even if you've got a season ticket, you're paying God knows how much money. You probably go to most games. To just sit there and criticise. Like, I get annoyed by watching my team, certain things that certain players do. Like Anthony, for example, doing what Ashley Young does and stop and turn around and not take a player on. That was very common and slagging them off. But I just thought, like, you're not out of breath, just constantly complaining about everything a player does, and then saying how well a player did running back, and then he got the wrong player. I think there was one moment when Rashford ran back, and he thought it was Garnacho. I think he went, "Oh, see, look, Garnacho's running back, tracking back there." And he goes, "No, that was Rashford." No, it wasn't. It was Garnacho. He obviously can't stand to praise when he's wrong. And I just thought, it really, really infuriated me that you're paying all that money to just moan.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm moaning now, but the point is,
that's fine.
This has not cost me anything to moan. Yeah. It's cost him a lot.
Was it like unwarranted, unjust criticism as well?
It was like, I can understand what the frustration, but it was like some players would do like something really good, and then it'll be like, a tiny misplaced pass, and it's, you shit him, game off and stuff. Like Martial frustrates me more than anyone about his pressing game. Like he's a mannequin, both of them. But the first goal against Everton, he held up play between three Everton players really good, right? And he got no praise from the guys when he did that or when he did anything. But as soon as, let's say, the ball's there, no one else is pressing, he's the one that gets the abuse. He's like, just get him out of the club. He's shit. And then they're doing it about every player. And I just thought, go support someone else then if you don't want any players to be at this club. Because there's no point. It's just infuriating.
And was it like the same players they were picking on?
Yeah, exactly. So it's obviously they've got the favourites. And they were asking for Ganoush to come on all game. And I was like, right, so the 11 that's on the pitch.
Were you able to extrapolate who were their favourites and who were the players they hated?
Yeah, like they would sit there and they would compliment Casemiro all the time. Casemiro would play a misplaced pass and you wouldn't hear them bat an eye.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, why don't you slag him off for that misplaced pass?
Mm-hmm.
And then, for example, Anthony did a lot of good spells, but okay, yeah, it annoys me when he just cuts back all the time and doesn't try and take a man on. Yeah. But every single time he would do that, especially when he's got three players in front of him, when it's like, okay, you made the right choice to pass it back. Oh, just take him on, he's shit him, he's absolute crap. And every single time a player would do something. And then it was him, and there was what else was it? Malacia, for example. Malacia, he's sometimes a bit dodgy. He got criticism all game. Okay, it was unfortunately injury to Iwobi, but he ran back the length of the pitch to win that ball back. Again, no praise.
Yeah,
that's what I think irritates me as well. Is like praise them. You can criticize, but if you can't praise at the same time, what's the point?
Well, they sound like two. How old were they around, do you know?
Oh, I think it looked like it was the son of the dad. I think it was like one was like in his 20s and the other was 50s.
Oh, okay.
I just felt like, but when you're in front of the TV, and you're getting frustrated, fair enough. But you're paying a lot of money to come and watch, and you'd rather just stand there and moan.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with justified criticism, but if it's like all the time,
if someone misses a tap in, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, sort yourself out.
Yeah.
Well, not every single time the player touches the ball. Like, it got to a point where I was waiting for Anthony to get the ball and just like, what are they going to say this time? It's just like, for God's sake.
Well, hopefully they're not there the next time you're at Old Trafford. Did it ruin your enjoyment of the game?
No, I enjoyed the game, but it was just like, say, shut up.
No, yeah,
please.
Yeah, well, I had there was someone who used to sit next to me at City and non-stop criticising Sterling over literally everything, and now it's Grealish. His new, now that Sterling's gone, his new target is Grealish, and he gets frustrated because Sterling is sometimes a frustrating player to watch, but if he doesn't try to do the thing, then the thing doesn't happen. So, for example, like if he runs at someone and let's say he loses the ball, maybe he loses the ball 3 times out of 5, but the other 2 times it might lead to a really good chance.
Right, exactly. Like that's how Bruno plays. He's high risk, high reward.
Yeah,
and he was another one that was targeted by these guys constantly. Like, if you misplaced a pass or something, it'd be like, for God's sake, sort yourself, for God's sake, Bruno, blah, blah, blah. He's shit. It's like, but you take him out of the team, there's no pressing. And they lose all control of midfield, so clearly he has a massive influence. But you don't see that part of the game. You just see his pass was shit.
Yeah.
And things like that. And it's just like, come on, just shush. Watch the game.
If you're watching this, Gaskey's calling you out.
Man who was sat behind me.
Yeah, random man with his son. But there we go. That's what's ground Gaskey's gears, and Gaskey has told me, we're not going to hear it now, but he's told me he's already got something lined up for next week as well. So
you may hear it if it continues.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll need to hear it off camera if not. But yeah, there we go. That's what ground Gaskey's gears. It's been a while. He's got lots of events. Clearly. What's that? Sorry.
I have Christmas anger. It's been over 4 weeks.
There we go. But that's why we got this platform. So Gaskey can vent.
It will never be finally decided who has won the football.
Got NobGas, got some questions from my lovely Noblets. If you want to support the channel and get some perks in return, the Patreon link is in my bio if you'd like to support. We've got a question from Lucas. I'm going to say his actual question. I'm going to reframe it. So Lucas's question is thoughts on Rashford being the greatest player to ever live. I'm going to reframe that as, what are your thoughts on like Rashford's performances so far this season? I
assume that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Oh no, brilliant. I feel like he's got the confidence there, and that players I think defenders start to fear him. The own goal that Corey scored against Everton, like he was running at Coleman. Coleman was like, "What do I do?" He's chopping and changing. No, he doesn't know how to deal with him, and that's what you want to see. That's what he's capable of doing, and he's doing it consistently now. 8 games in a row he scored. I think at Old Trafford. I think something like that. Brilliant. You know, he's continued doing what he's doing. Like you might not have heard of it, but there's a Twitter account called Alternate MUFC Commentary,
right?
And I find it hilarious. And there's a running joke on there where whenever Rashford gets the ball towards the box, he goes, "Walcott or Pele, Walcott or Pele." What's he going to do? Yeah. And then you don't know what he's going to do. And now he's just gone, "I'm not going to do it anymore because he's Pele."
Yeah.
So, you know, and that just shows like people recognizing how good he's actually playing. And he's got that confidence back, and it just shows he could potentially be one of a great United player. He's already played I think he's played over 250 games now, 300 games maybe.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, he just needs to do it season after season now.
Yeah, consistency is what he needs now. Constantly do it. Don't go missing.
Definitely.
That's what you got to do.
Definitely. Will asks, well, he asked 2 questions. We've covered the Arteta or Eddie Howe one. I think you said Eddie Howe, didn't you?
Yeah.
So Will asks, Gareth Bale recently retired. This was a debate in the Discord server. Wayne Rooney or Gareth Bale, who was the better player? Now, I'm not interested in who had the better prime. I'm not interested in who you thought had a better individual peak season. The question is, who was the better player, Wayne Rooney or Gareth Bale?
If we're going off that, I would say Rooney.
I totally agree.
I think Rooney has been consistent longer. Bale had flashes of moments. He scored amazing goals. He's obviously trophies are team trophies. I never count them when you're comparing 2 players.
Yeah.
But Rooney just consistently over the years, you dump him anywhere on the pitch and he does his job. And I just feel like he's just overall, because he's been the better player.
Yeah, I agree with you, because if we're talking about like a small window of time, so for example, Gareth Bale's last 2 years at Spurs.
I think Bale's peak season was probably higher than Rooney's.
Yeah.
But Rooney did it over a longer period.
Yeah. Because like Gareth Bale in his last 2 seasons at Spurs and his first 2 seasons at Real Madrid, that's sort of like 3-4 year period when he was like unplayable at times, and when he was like scoring really crucial Champions League final goals. And there was that mad stat about like he scored more goals outside the box than anyone for Spurs in the 12-13 season. And it was like he's only got one trick, it's cut in and shoot with his left foot. Yeah, but you can't stop him, so it's irrelevant.
Well, I think the big one for me was that game against Inter Milan when the rest of the team was shit. Mm-hmm. Like, what were they? Was it 4-4 and he scored 4? The rest of the team were garbage. Yeah. And he was doing it himself, and Maicon was having a nightmare.
I was going to say, he nearly retired Maicon.
Yeah, and he didn't know how to deal with him. And it was just like that there is a player that he's unplayable. Like, at times, just how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So I think we agree there. If we're talking about like a small era of the two, you take Gareth Bale, but overall, I think the answer's Rooney.
Yeah. There
we go. DR asks a non-football related question. What's the naughtiest thing you ever did at school, Gaskey?
This is a difficult one because I was a good boy at school.
I was a good boy as well.
I got no detentions.
Yeah.
I was good.
Yeah.
And actually, I can give you a little story about how a moment between me and Nobbins when we shared a class. So we were in our food tech class and we were doing something in the computer rooms, and our teacher, who was a bit of an arse, was shouting at someone else, being naughty. Then me and Nobbins here were having a little chuckle to ourselves in the corner. She turned and bollocked us and kicked us out of the classroom. Never been told off at school before. We were both like, "Pulse, what have we done? Yeah. We're good boys." Exactly. And then we got kicked out of the classroom.
Why? I can't remember the exact details of this. If we were doing food tech, why were we in a computer room?
I think it was something to do with creating a menu or something. I think that was part of it.
Like research or something.
Yeah, I think it was research and stuff like that. And then we weren't giggling at the teacher shouting. We were giggling at something unrelated, weren't we? No, it was something completely different, unrelated, but we just got her on a bad day.
Yeah. we were friendly fire, collateral damage.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the only time I've ever been shouted at school.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I was very good. I was a very, very good little boy at school. I think one time it wasn't really naughty because I was given permission, but like I was just like playing out in the yard, and someone gave me like their hat, and they said throw it or something, and I threw it, and it landed on the school roof, and that I got in trouble for that. But I wasn't really that naughty, was it? So, yeah, we're good little boys.
We're mad rebels, us.
Yeah.
This podcast is crazy.
But yes, nothing exciting to report. I mean, let us know in the comments, guys. What's the naughtiest thing you ever did at school? I'm talking naughty. I'm not talking about like, oh yeah, I murdered someone. Like no, let's
No, that's a bit too naughty. Like, did you set a bin on fire?
Yeah,
like
that's illegal. Yeah. So what's the naughtiest legal thing you've ever done at school? Let's do that. And then the final question from our newest Noblet, who's actually a golden Noblet. Miz, thank you so much for your support and for becoming a Noblet. What was that, Gaskey?
I said, welcome to Miz. I'm welcoming him into the community.
Yeah, well done. You got a welcome from Gaskey. That's worth its weight in gold. That is priceless.
It is. We'll give them that lot.
But yeah, Miz just asks, how has your Premier League table prediction changed, and what do you think the top 10 will look like now? So I'm not going to give like a full comparison of like what my predictions were, but the key factors from my predictions are Arsenal are doing far better than I thought they would. I had them as 5th, they're 1st now. Liverpool are doing much worse than I thought they were going to do. Newcastle are doing better, but I thought Newcastle were going to do well, do really good. I thought they were going to come 7th. Yeah. Honestly, the relegation, I think I'm quite happy with that, because I said Southampton, Forest, and Bournemouth will go down. So it's mainly the top of the table, and United are doing much better than I thought.
Yeah, because I had a top four of City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United.
Yeah,
is what I had it. Arsenal, and Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a shambles.
Yeah. Well, Chelsea and Spurs, they've just shot us. Shot us.
And then
so bad.
Newcastle. I had Newcastle like sniffing about with West Ham.
Yeah.
But then obviously Newcastle gone too far up, and West Ham gone too far down. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and I think I had West Ham upper mid-table, like sort of like 9th area, or maybe even 8th, and they're like 19th right now or something like that. So those are the main selling points for my prediction. But we're now halfway through the season. What the table looks like now is largely what it will look like come the end of the season. The table does take much more shape the later down the road we get. But that was NobGas. Thank you guys so much for your support. And yeah, thank you so much. If you do want to become a Noblet, you get many perks, including asking questions on these podcasts. The Patreon link is in the YouTube comments section. YouTube description box.
It will never be finally decided who has won the football.
We're going to have a cheeky preview of the next week's matches, and then we'll be finishing with BallBusters, which is the best quiz show on the internet. Gaskey, there are 2 derbies. North London derby. I just want a quick prediction from you, because there's another derby I want to talk about. So Draw. Yeah, it's at Spurs, isn't it? It's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Good, love that. But the Manchester derby, let's be honest, that's the big boy. It's the Gaskey Nobbins derby. Last time out, it was a shambles. United got pumped 6-3. 6-3 being a very flattering scoreline. I've got a feeling this is going to be much more even.
I think so as well. I think United have the stability they didn't have. I think the problem the first game was Tenaga was still putting his foot in the door, wanting to get his players' way, trying to get players to play a way that they can't.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like they've settled. They've got Casemiro's in there to steady the ship. I think it's going to be more competitive.
Yeah, and also Casemiro didn't even feature in the last game, because he just recently signed, hadn't he? So
I think he signed a week before, if a week. Somewhere.
Yeah, so obviously he will play. But it works both ways. City didn't have Rodri available in the return fixture. I think they had another big injury. I can't remember who it was. So it's going to be interesting either way. I don't think it'll be. I don't think that we'll see 9 goals like we did.
No.
Last year. I think maybe I think 2-1 maximum.
I'm thinking 2-1, but I can't call which way.
Well, I'm going to say City for obvious reasons.
It depends if United show up. I'll say 2-1 United, obviously. I'm going to say United, I'm going to say City. But it depends if they show up. Like, they've been showing up consistently this season, United, especially after, obviously, apart from the Villa game. Well, since the City game and apart from the Villa game, they've been consistent throughout. So hopefully they can have a bigger game.
How do you think they're going to play? Because they're playing with a lot of confidence right now.
See, my concern is right, when they play against any, let's say, most teams in the Premier League, I'm happy with Eriksen being in midfield with Bruno. But against a team where they're just going to throw so many bodies forward, Eriksen doesn't have the legs. That's my concern. So part of me is like, if Fred starts, I would kind of understand it for the legs.
Yeah.
But that'll be my only concern is, are they going to be able to handle City throwing bodies forward?
Yeah, I think you raise a good point.
Eriksen is the solution for getting goals to the other end, but can they do that efficiently and avoid conceding? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
that'll be the interesting one.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I've recently got a smartwatch, and I just had a phone call, and my wrist started vibrating. I was like, what on earth is happening here? So I haven't quite got used to it. That was odd.
Your stroke.
I was like, what is going on? But yeah, you raised a good point. I thought that United were maybe, who keeps calling me? Stop it! I'm trying to do a podcast. I thought United were really naive in the game against City earlier in the season. I was so convinced it was going to be like, Fred. Even though I knew Casemiro was getting thrown in, I thought they had to throw him in. City just dominated the midfield, as it turned out. So United cannot do that again. So I think they've got to set up pragmatically, surely.
I feel like I don't mind who will start over Fred or Eriksen, because I feel like Casemiro is good enough to hopefully stop City playing their way. But my concern with playing Fred is the transition. Yeah. He's not good enough for doing that, and Eriksen is. So it's a tough situation. But I think it'll be a good game.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully. And speaking of good games, Gaskey, it's BallBusters. It is BallBusters, which is the best quiz show on the internet. Guys, do you want an exclusive Discord role? Do you want bonus knob coins? Do you want eternal glory? Of course you do.
No.
What do you mean no? Less of that. Of course you want yes to all of those. The way you enter this brilliant quiz is by leaving a comment in the YouTube comment section. I will post the clues there. I'm also about to read them out. You get a cryptic clue of a footballer, past or present, and you've got to tell me who the footballer is. I suggest you don't copy from other people because they're probably wrong. I've had that a fair few times where someone's copied someone else and they've just been flat out wrong. So do try to think for yourselves here. There are 3 to get. The first initials are ABK, and the cryptic clue is, I've got some NobCast post here. It's been sent from an Italian restaurant covered in red sauce. Next one is JC. Yesterday, I conducted a phone interview with Joffrey Baratheon about a role on this podcast. I'm going to phone and invite him to a second interview. And then the third one, the initials are AO, and the cryptic clue is, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to sing like Rihanna. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to sing like Rihanna. Those are the BallBusters clues for this week. Submit your answers in the comment section. And that's been the NobCast, Gaskey. We're back with a vengeance, mate. Have you enjoyed it? Have you missed it?
I have. We're back with a bang. Yeah, I felt lost. I felt lost without my NobCast buddy. I don't know what to do. It was coming to midweek, and I was like, I've got nothing to look forward to.
That's how... I was about to say something really mean then. I don't mean this, spoilers. I would say that's how empty inside your life is, Gaskey. But no, obviously I don't mean that. I'd never say that, apart from that one time when I just said it then. You know what I mean?
The meme. Break my heart is what you've done.
But there we go. Really hope you enjoyed it, guys. I've been Nobbins.
I've been Gaskey.
And this has been the NobCast. Leave us some feedback in the comments. Let us know if you enjoyed it. And we'll be back next week where we'll bring back the usual format of chatting about the week's past matches. Until next time, guys, we're off. Goodbye.